Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. In this edition, we'll be talking about the Tottenham Hotspur v Southampton game where Spurs beat the Saints 3-1 in the Premier League at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Spurs up to 14th in the Premier League table and Southampton are sadly relegated to the Championship. We're currently live on YouTube, X, Facebook and Twitch, so please do get involved. Let us know how you are feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. I'm certainly not going to get carried away by this performance and this result today because, of course, all eyes are on Thursday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in the Europa League against Frankfurt, a huge game coming up. Now, we're very proud to be the most watched Tottenham Hotspur fan channel on YouTube and part of the TalkSport fan network. So thank you so much for all of your incredible support. Let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the game and the result here. Tottenham Hotspur 3, Southampton 1. Brennan Johnson putting Spurs 1-0 up after 13 minutes. An assist from Djed Spence. Brennan Johnson doubled Tottenham's lead and his tally on the 42nd minute. And Fernandes got one back for Southampton in the 90th minute, and Mathys Tel put Spurs 3-1 up from the penalty spot in the 96th minute. Now, the match facts and stats here: Tottenham Hotspur with 50.9% of the ball to Southampton's 49.1%. XG, Tottenham Hotspur 2.21 to Southampton's 1.04. Shots, Spurs had 13 to Southampton's 12. Shots on target, Spurs 8, Southampton 4. Total touches inside the box, Tottenham Hotspur 25, Southampton 24. Goalkeeper saves, Spurs 3, Southampton 5. Fouls, Spurs 16, Southampton 20. And corners, Spurs 4, Southampton 1. So as you can tell by these stats, it wasn't that convincing. Let's introduce the guests. We have got impressionist Darren Altman back with us. Darren, how are you?
I'm all good, thank you. All good. That was fairly non-eventful. I mean, a 3-1 win in other circumstances should be, we should all be jumping for joy and, be on cloud nine. But it was what it was, Chris. I'm all good. The sun's shining. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. We'll get into the football in a second. Back with us also is Harry Scarfe. Harry, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Chris. Looking forward to getting into it and great to meet you earlier today. As Darren says, it feels strange talking about a win in this way when we haven't played great and difficult circumstances, of course, where we are in the league and how we've been playing recently. But still, it's 3 points is 3 points. I take it. And as Darren said, the sun is shining, so it could be worse.
Absolutely. And all the way from Malta, where the sun is shining constantly, is Melvyn. Melvyn, how are you?
Yeah, I'm well, Chris. 3 points were important today, to get some momentum for Thursday, which is probably the most important game of the season. Yeah, weird day. You would think we would all be buzzing after a win like that, but it's a bit long overdue. We needed the 3 points, we needed the victory, and I'm sure we'll discuss how we're all feeling, at the moment.
Melvyn, let's start the show with you then. Let's get your thoughts on today's performance. I know what you're saying there. The result is the most important thing, but it wasn't a convincing performance, particularly against a side who have only won 2 Premier League games all season in the Premier League. Of course, today they are relegated to the Championship, so wishing them all of the very best for the future. I'm sure they'll be back the following season. But what did you make of today's performance?
Yeah, I mean, it's not much different than the other games we've played this season. I know we did win, but Southampton are quite poor as a team. And, we scored a couple of classic Tottenham goals with Johnson. We've scored, I think, similar goals this season. The lineup was okay. The performance was okay. Nothing special, but it's like when we've struggled so much this season, it's difficult to be positive with a day like today. And it just seems to be we beaten a championship team today and at home with a lineup that should be putting these teams. We should be beating these teams easily. And I thought, the atmosphere was good. There's the protest before the game, which was bigger than last time. but all I think about is Thursday. And even while I was watching the game, I found myself, a bit bored, actually, to be honest with you. I wasn't into it as much as I should have been. It's been that kind of season, to be honest. It's difficult to be excited, to be motivated for the games. The Europa League is the only thing I've been, and even the League Cup, I was a bit excited when there was the chance of us getting to a final. But this season, our league form has been, terrible. Our away form is terrible, and it's difficult to get excited about the league, especially when you look at the table and we're such in a, depressing position at the moment. I feel that Thursday is make or break for us this season. Hopefully we get a positive result, but Thursday, if it doesn't go well and we're out of the Europa League, I really feel the season is over, and there's not much to be excited or happy about. But today is a step in the right direction, but I feel it's a bit too late for us at the moment. We should have been much better this season. We had a lot of opportunities for us to have better performances, and yeah, good to see certain players out there playing. We're seeing the videos right now of the players exiting the stadium. I don't know how the atmosphere was, Chris, but it wasn't as bad as some of the games this season. It felt a bit better, and
it was weird, Melvyn. That's the word I would use. It was a weird atmosphere. I felt like a number of Spurs fans inside that stadium today expected the win, and even when we scored, it was kind of half a cheer. It was expected that we were going to win this game today, and I feel like every Spurs fan is on the same page as you and I. It's just, let's just get this job done, get the 3 points, and then move on to Thursday. And I feel like everyone is feeling that same feeling and hope for Thursday, that we're going to get a good result at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. But in terms of momentum and in terms of going into Thursday's game in good form, do you think we've done enough today for Ange Postecoglou and the players to feel very confident in going into Thursday?
No, I still feel the team is. There was a guy who asked me. A guy messaged me this week, and he said, "Surely you will win the Europa League." And I said, "What evidence do you have that we will?" He said the players came back from injury, but they seem to come back from injury and they've recovered physically, but I feel they haven't recovered mentally. It seems that they're still suffering mentally with some aspects of the game. Their confidence is low. Maybe they don't trust their body yet. They don't trust that they fear they're gonna get re-injured, or there's something wrong with the team at the moment. And I don't know. It's like they've suffered such a traumatic season, and with the Spurs fans as well. We don't trust this team to win. I don't see who's going to score next, who's going to be the man of the match performance. I don't believe in the defense at the moment. I don't believe that they're capable of keeping a clean sheet. I don't believe there's leadership on the pitch. I feel Sonny is being weighted down by the armband. I feel he's not playing with freedom. He's not playing with lots of things. As a fan at the moment, I'm not happy. I've probably the lowest I've felt in a long time, even though there are some positive things that make me excited for the future with us playing such a young squad and some excited young talent. That makes me happy. That makes me excited. Something that we asked for in the past. But I'm not happy as a fan, Chris. And I feel let down by the football club. And today's been a day where the protest was going on. So I said I couldn't go to the protest. I wish I was there, to be honest, to be part of it. Not to scream and shout, just to be present and show that as a football fan, as a person who loves this football club, I feel let down. I feel that I'm not being taken care of. I felt that my loyalty to the club, who I supported through bad times and good times, and Chris, we've had some bad times, and we've had podcasts together when we've had bad times, and I want this football club to do well. So I know this channel is viewed by lots of people. So if this video is somehow viewed by people at the football club, I'm letting you know, as an international football fan, who I love this football club, but I feel let down. I'm not happy. I'm embarrassed at the moment. I go to the gym with my Tottenham towel, and I put the logo the other way down. I don't want people to talk to me about Spurs at the moment because I'm embarrassed. We're 16th, we're 15th, whatever. We need the club to take us seriously, to take football seriously. I'm sick of receiving emails of events. Stop. How can I unsubscribe to those things? Seriously, I want this football club to take football more seriously. Act like a football club, please. And make us happy again. Make us proud of the club again. I know we're doing some things to get in the right direction, but days like today, I just feel deflated. I feel tired. And Chris, I don't know how you keep doing it. And credit to you, because you haven't stopped all season, man. And I'm gonna let the other guys speak a bit, but it's just how I feel at the moment. I live and breathe this football club, Chris, as you know, because I message you from time and time again. But yeah, it's just how I feel.
Darren, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on the 3-1 win today.
I mean, before a ball was kicked. By the way, Melvyn, yes, I feel your pain, and we're all in it together, mate. So yeah, before a ball was kicked, I think I said on our little group, if we win, so what? We've beaten a team that's going to play championship football next season. Great. And if we lose, it'll just be the beginning of the end. It's like we can't win today. We can win, and we did win, but we can't win. We're languishing in 14th. The last time we were in 14th position in the league was 2003, 2004, when Pleat was in charge. That just shows you where we're at. And we've beat, like Melvyn said, we've beat a championship team today. We came out. Okay, let's take some positives. We came out strong. I was really impressed with the start. I haven't seen a start like that with purpose going forward in a while. So that was a positive. I liked our beginning, the way we attacked them. We got our 2 goals. We could have got a third goal, which obviously was disallowed. And then for the second half, I don't know what the modus operandi was from Ange. Did he tell the team to just come out from minute 45 and just shut up shop and just desperately protect the 2-goal lead? I don't know, but that second half, I wanted it to be over so I could go out and mow the lawn. I just had enough. It was just,
It's weird how you should say that, Darren, because at St Mary's we were 5-0 up at half time, and in that second half we completely took our foot off the gas then as well.
I know. I don't know whether Ange said that, whether that was a remit. Okay, guys, go out there. I won't do the voice. Okay, guys, go out there and just play it safe. Just shut up shop and let's just defend this two-goal lead for 45 minutes. That's not what a Spurs fan wants. That's not what any fan wants from any team, irregardless if you're Spurs, Villa, Newcastle, whoever. If you're 2 goals up against a team that are languishing at the foot of the Premier League, you want to tear them a new arsehole, surely. Put them to bed. Come on, let's try and score as many goals as we possibly can in the next 45 minutes. But we didn't do it. I mean, and then they got their goal back. Of course they got their goal back. I don't know. I mean, listen, like Melvyn says, we won. We've got 3 points. Hopefully that will stand us good stead going into the first round of the quarterfinals on Thursday. But I mean, it's just difficult to get your hopes up. We're languishing in 14th. How can we be whoop-de-doo about this. You know, if we'd have scored, if we'd have won 3-1 and we'd have been in moving up to 5th position or 4th position, we could come into this podcast with a bit of hope and a bit of cheer. But there's nothing really to get excited about.
So do you have that hope for Thursday, Darren? I know we're going to talk a little bit about the Frankfurt game at the end of the podcast after the Southampton game, but you know, from what you've seen today, does it give you enough confidence as a Spurs fan to think, well, we can go and, you know, give Frankfurt a real game on Thursday? Because it is very, very important, in my opinion, that we go to Frankfurt with a lead.
No, absolutely. And Melvyn said it. I mean, I won't sort of preempt our little discussion now, because I'm sure we will spend a bit of time. They're not the greatest team in the world. I've done some homework on them leading up to this chat, because I knew that, you know, because I don't watch the Bundesliga, but I don't sit and watch German football, but I thought I'd do a little bit of research. Out of the last 8 matches, they've won 4 and lost 4. So they're not a consistent team by any stretch of the imagination. In the last 6 games, they've won 3 and lost 3. So can we beat them? You'd like to think so. And all the guys that are saying our name's on the cup, as Melvyn said, by what metrics?
Yeah.
Why? Our name's on that cup. We haven't got a God-given right. Just because we're in the quarterfinals, I'm sorry to piss on people's chips. We haven't got a God-given right to win that cup.
Yeah. To be honest, Darren, I knew the fact that we're going to record this podcast today talking about the Southampton game. Although we've won 3-1, I knew that all of you guys and a lot of the people in the chat across all social media platforms that we're live on at the moment, I knew that a lot of people are not going to be particularly happy because we are 14th. I think it was expected that we beat a side that have only won 2 games in the Premier League. Probably, you know, no disrespect to Southampton, probably one of the worst ever teams in Premier League history this year. And that is very fair to say that. Harry, let's come to you because, of course, you were inside the stadium. You've heard me say my bit about the atmosphere. It just felt really weird to me. How did it feel where you were sitting today?
Yeah, exactly the same, Chris. Really weird. It just felt strange when we scored. It wasn't quite the same. As you said, half cheer, I think that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it was just really weird. It was just kind of a dull, a din, and it felt like a library at times. You could definitely hear a pin drop, and it just, you know, it was a game, wasn't it? Let's be honest, between 2 really poor sides and 2 sides that are in poor form. They both had poor seasons. And you know, it was represented, I think, by the fans as well. Both sets of fans not really giving a lot as well. Southampton, when they were singing their away fans, was often taunting their own side, like, you know, about them being in the Championship next year, or how have you only scored 1, how have you only scored 2? That's what we got all through the game. I think it told you the story perfectly. So yeah, it weren't a great atmosphere, and there was a lot of tension, I think, inside the stadium. There's, you know, fans, some that I was near anyway, making their thoughts known about individual players and just generally how we're doing at the moment. There was a few clashes here and there. So yeah, really strange atmosphere inside the stadium, Chris. Something we don't want to be seeing, but it's understandable. I think fans have a right at the moment to be frustrated because coming into this 16th place, it's not good. And as both guys already said, Darren and Melvyn, you know, it's been really poor. And it just kind of, you feel nothing even after this win. It's weird. Having said that, though, as fans, we've got to do everything in our power to get behind the team Thursday, park our domestic league form aside, and just, you know, give absolutely everything, especially as fans that are going in supporting the team. Because, as you said, Chris, we need to go into that second leg, you know, with an advantage. We want any chance, because our season could still be really special despite how we've been playing in the league. But today's atmosphere, it wasn't great. But it's just nice to get the win, because it's a real rarity at the moment, in particular at home.
Alan writes here, gents, don't bother coming online if this is the end of the world. Why even support the team? We all do support the team, very much so. And this podcast, because it is so popular, we do cover the good, the bad and the ugly. And we've got to be very balanced. We've got to cover every single subject, whether we're talking about protests, whether we're talking about the board, whether we're talking about players, and Postecoglou, how the fans feel. We cover it all. That is what we're here for. There are lots of other podcasts available if you'd like to watch or listen to one of those, if you don't like this one. But we are here to talk about every single subject to do with Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Harry, let's stay with you. I want to talk a little bit about the board and, of course, the protest before the game. There are a lot of very unhappy fans right now about how the football club is being run. A lot of people are unhappy about Ange Postecoglou still in charge. A lot of people are unhappy with certain player performances, and a lot of people are arguing amongst themselves. Alan, believe that we're being quite negative after we've won 3-1, but it's how people feel. There are a lot of people that feel, disappointed. We heard Melvyn earlier. There are a lot of people that are feeling very angry. There are a lot of people feeling very sad. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling happy that we got the win, and I think we should enjoy that without a doubt. But reality is we haven't been good enough. We were going into today expecting to win, and we did. We done what was required. But for context, look at where Southampton are, the earliest probably team to be relegated, 6th of April today. What was it, 22 points adrift? They are. It's just absolutely crazy numbers everywhere you look, whether it be the very few they've conceded, the amount they've let in, conceded. And I think it just represents the gap between the Premier League and the Championship. Having said that, though, it's a real mix, Chris, because it's just nice to get the win, but it feels weird because it's obviously the occasion and this season what surrounds it. Because I'm still, will feel really frustrated with what's happening off the pitch, and I just think that Thursday is going to be a struggle, and it's not the performance that gives me confidence going into it. So you've got to, I think, enjoy the win. Go, okay, well done. We played well. As Darren said, we started well, but that second half was really poor, and there's so many times we looked really open today. So I'm still not happy. I think that we do need a complete overhaul at the club. From owners to board, to chairman, to a new recruitment structure, to complete overhaul of the recruitment team itself. So there's a lot I think these changing. Whether it would change or not, I don't know. But it was good to see a good turnout for the change for Tottenham protests. It was good for the first one. This looked very good again. Obviously, I think the weather's massively helps. I did miss it being stuck in traffic, but it looked good. And as long as it's done peacefully, I don't see a problem with making your thoughts known. But you've got to look at whether it changes something or not. I don't know, but putting pressure on it is good as far as I view it. So yeah, frustrating time to be a Tottenham fan at the moment. And you mentioned there as well, Ange Postecoglou. I think that he's hanging on by a thread. He's hanging on to his job, and that's why he wants to treat the Europa League very seriously. He wants to get over the line in that, but it's not going to be easy. Frankfurt will be tough. Down's absolutely spot on in terms of their form, but at the end of the day, they still sit third in the Bundesliga, and a comfortable third as well. They've been poor recently. There's been some fragility that's been exposed, but they're still a solid outfit, and at this moment in time, still in better form than us. And it will go into it as the favourites out of the two sides, even being away from home Thursday. So we've got to be on our game. So I think we've got to, as fans, expect more from these players on the pitch. I think Ange has got to be doing better. I think everyone at the club's got to contribute. But as far as fans are concerned, we've got to do our bit Thursday. And so many fans have done home and away. That's why I've constantly defended them, venting their frustrations within reason. But Thursday's massive, and we've got to do everything in our power to get the team hopefully over the line and take a lead into Germany.
Yeah, and I always say as well, Harry, that no one is right or wrong. We can't help how we feel about things. And as I said, there are a lot of people that are very unhappy at the moment, and they are expressing that frustration. And rightly so. We're not used to being in this position in the Premier League table. Now, rather than me reading lots of quotes out from Ange Postecoglou today, I'm actually going to play the post-match press conference. It is about 11 minutes. So we're going to play this in two halves. The first half, and then I'll come to you, Melvyn, and get your opinion, and then we'll play the second half. Here we go.
And was it, apart from a slight nervousness towards the end, Southampton scored, was that almost like the perfect performance, occasion for your team with Thursday on the horizon?
Yeah, to a certain extent. I was really happy with the first half. I thought the first half we were really disciplined, well organised. We sort of limited them to one chance, and I thought every time we went forward, we looked dangerous. We looked threatening. It's probably as threatening as we've looked for quite a while. Really fluent. Obviously scored 2 goals, had one disallowed. Darren pulled off some good saves, and really pleased. Second half, not so much. I thought we became way too passive without the ball. We allowed sort of Southampton to get a little bit of a rhythm, and then we're really sloppy with the ball. And even the substitutions that we made didn't really make the impact I wanted to. So which, as you said, allows them to sort of get a goal there. And so that was disappointing. It's something we need to improve on. But, overall, I think the important thing is we got the win. We scored 3 goals. Everyone got through unscathed and, ready for a big night Thursday.
I hate to bring it up, the VAR stuff again, 5 minutes, I think that decision was. How pleased are you that next week semi-automated offsides are coming in? Do you think that will speed up the process?
I got no idea, mate. So that's the assumption. But again, if you had told me years ago that we were just spending 5 minutes during a football game just standing around, I would never have believed you. But everyone loves it. Everyone wants it. Everyone is delighted by it. It's working so well. We're getting all decisions right. So who am I to complain about it?
Final for me was James Maddison's performance. Without the ball, he looks better than I've seen him for a long time. Real intensity. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I thought so. Like I said, especially in the first half, I thought all the players, really embraced both, their attacking and defensive roles, and we need to take that into Europe. We know European football. Every moment of the game is important, and I thought Matters was really good with the ball, but like I said, I thought he was really disciplined without the ball. Like I said, first half I was really pleased with the lads. It can be a game where you can go out there and sort of try and urge yourself to, or try and rush to victory, but I thought there was a real controlled way we went about it without it sort of diminishing the intensity we want to play. But like I said, second half that wasn't the case, so we need to improve.
And when you were waiting for 5 minutes for this VAR call, we were watching you and sort of pretend to flip a coin and rock, paper, scissors. Does that just sum up how it always feels like it's pot luck, or how?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they draw those lines. Does anyone convinced by those? I mean, and this is not a slight on anyone. I don't think it favours us or not favour us, but the fact that we're waiting 5 minutes for something, I don't think that's what technology was brought in for. I really don't. I think, but it's gone too far down the road for anyone to claw it back. But, we used to allow the assistants to make those decisions, and we all accepted them. There was one midweek with Chelsea. If they had have paid that, I wouldn't have been complaining. I would have said, "Oh, it was a toenail offside," because I've had that my whole career. Sometimes offside was never meant to be, sort of microscopically judged. But if they ever get to a place where that's done instantaneously, then I accept it. Because offside is offside. But I just can't believe that this is what we brought it in for, to stand around for 5 minutes for something that in the end I still think is, in my view anyway, inconclusive. Now, like I said, the semi-automated will come in and, say it's going to hopefully improve and speed up the process, but I didn't think there was a crying need for the game of football to be disrupted like this, but it has been. And like I said, as I keep saying, that the overwhelming majority of voices are in favour of it. So that kind of means it's very hard to stem that tide.
Brennan Johnson, his numbers are really good. It feels like there are lots of games where he isn't quite the same impact. How do you get him to become, obviously always scoring with much of a goal, a bit more consistent?
It's just it's tough. But I think that whenever Brendan plays, he's always a goal threat, and he's been really good for us in terms of goals, and whilst I don't rank them highly, even his assists are important to us today. He won the penalty, so he's really important for us in the way we play. I don't think he's been inconsistent this year. I just think that the disruptions we've had in the team and the inability to get some real cohesion within the group has sort of disrupted everyone's season. But great for him today. I was really pleased with him. Not just his goals, his general work rate, his general play was really good, and he's important for us because, as a wide player, there aren't many around that they're a constant goal threat like he is, and I'm really pleased for him today.
Just finally, the goal you conceded in caught out the back sticks the first time second. That was the Ipswich goal as well.
Yeah.
Is that a concern, those particular type of goals?
Yeah, to a certain extent, but it's more sort of how we got to that point. Like I said, if you allow the opposition, to kind of get into a rhythm, and they're going to find those kind of opportunities, whereas in the first half we never really allowed it. I think, like I said, they did have the one, but aside from that, we hardly let them into our half. Whereas in the second half, well, we just sort of sat back. Now, maybe the guys were thinking about Thursday, but I just don't think you can play that way. And it was disappointing to concede because, again, in Europe, every goal is important. The ones you score and the ones you concede, count for a lot more in terms of, the outcome of a tie. So it was disappointing to concede a goal today, but more disappointing, I think, was the way we went about it in the second half.
Melvyn, let's get your reaction to the first part there of Ange Postecoglou's post-match presser. Interesting comments there from Ange, saying that we looked well organised, we looked threatening every time we were going forward. Subs didn't make an impact, and then of course he's got the usual gripe about VAR. It was very frustrating inside the stadium today. Again, waiting around for 5 minutes. Ange Postecoglou looked pretty annoyed again, as he did on Thursday, and even the Chelsea and the Spurs fans were booing VAR on Thursday because it's happened again.
Yeah, but it's like that for all Premier League games now. What can you do? It's something you cannot control VAR these days. It's frustrating, but sometimes it does help us in certain situations, and sometimes it goes against you. So, one day you get it, one day you don't. With Postecoglou's comments of the team, the whole time I was thinking, yes, but it's only Southampton. The whole time, what he was saying, I agree with. We looked comfortable. We controlled the game. We didn't really concede many dangerous chances, but at the same time, it was Southampton, and we need to do this against much better oppositions. And when you think of, we're going to be playing Frankfurt, who are third in their league, twice, home and away. And then if we go through, somehow we go through, it could be, Lazio, who are very strong, very powerful, very good, and then a potential final. But I just think the whole time, when we play high quality opposition, high quality players, when we play physical teams, we just get, I don't know, we get outplayed, outnumbered, outrun. Physical battles, we lose them. It's what happened against Chelsea on Thursday. So today's performance doesn't fill me with confidence at all, and I don't think it will help with some of the players. I mean, Johnson got 2 goals, which probably will help his confidence, and there's a question mark to be asked: Is Johnson more effective than Wilson-Odobert? I know Wilson-Odobert scored in the Europa League and against AZ, I believe, and so there's question. He's definitely knocking at the door to be picked. I personally would pick Kulusevski if he was available. I don't know if he's going to be available. It's going to be an interesting couple of days. I mean, there's still a lot of people who are Ange out. I personally, I've viewed my opinion many times on the manager. I'm never against the manager. I support the team. I support the manager, but he's making it difficult for me to defend him. And we'll see, because it could be a funny season. Let's say I listened, Chris, to the 4-hour fan show you did, and that was a tough listen. Think of you hosted it, and I'm sure the amount of complaining the fans did, and people came up with some bizarre statements which I didn't like. If we win the Europa League, I would still sack him, which I thought, 1, we're not going to win the Europa League. 2, if we win the Europa League, we'll actually build him a statue, because that would make him the greatest manager we've had in my lifetime if he wins the Europa League, because I've only seen us lift a League Cup. And it's gonna be really interesting a couple of days, and we'll see what he. I'm sure he can feel the pressure at the moment. and he can feel what happened on Thursday with the fans, and I don't know, does he like us? Does he think we don't like him? Does he think, I know the away support criticizes him publicly, and I can hear it on the television, and they're chanting, "You don't know what you're doing," and the evidence shows us that we are right. He doesn't know what he's doing, but there's lots of evidence against Postecoglou. That's where I find it difficult to defend him. As much as I like him, and I like how he speaks sometimes, and I'm receiving these notifications from the podcast, and as much as I like Postecoglou and how he speaks and how he puts us across, sometimes he does say the wrong things, sometimes. So it's difficult to be, for me to say Ange out, because it's not what I am. It's not how I want to support the football club.
You don't need to be put in some box, Melvyn. I said this on previous. You don't need to say I'm Ange in or Ange out. You can be somewhere in between. But I agree with you. I feel like it's very difficult to defend Ange Postecoglou, particularly after the last couple of Premier League games. I felt like I've really changed my attitude towards the manager after the Fulham game. To make that many changes before an international break was very disappointing. The way that Ange Postecoglou acted during that Chelsea game, which is a big game for us Spurs fans, Chelsea away. And I would have preferred Ange just to have said, yes, I cut my ear because I was annoyed about what the fans said. I'd have preferred him to come out and say that rather than what he did say. And I feel like week by week, sadly, I feel like the support of the manager is getting less and less, which is quite sad to see, particularly as we do still have an excellent opportunity to go far in the Europa League. And, everyone is pinning their hopes on it. Darren, before we come to you, we're just going to hear from Ange Postecoglou again. It's about 4.5 minutes, this section, and then we'll get your thoughts on the manager.
With Brennan, it feels like he's lacked a little bit of confidence over the last couple of months. What does that mean to confidence? And I guess today you would have wanted players to go out there and show what they deserve to play first.
Yeah. Look, like I said, I think with Brennan, he's always in the areas we need him to be. He's probably one of the most disciplined players we have in terms of making sure that he's always in the right positions, and that's why he gets his goals. And like I said, there's been times this year where I think his form suffered because of the team more than anything else. I think when we played like we did in the first half, Brennan becomes a real important player for us, because we were a constant threat. We were always breaking lines. We were making half space runs. We were respecting those runs. We were getting balls into the box in the areas we need to, and like I said, every time we went forward we looked like scoring. So if we do that, then I think it's not a matter of confidence for Brennan. It just gives him more of those opportunities, because the one thing about him is he'll always be in those positions, so it's up to us to sort of match his discipline in that. Yeah, Destiny and Mickey are fine. Obviously, they've missed a lot of football this year, so it made sense for us to kind of, sort of put them on ice today. And Richie's good, yeah. I mean, we've kind of done this with a few of the boys now who are coming back, sort of get them involved in match day and possibility of him getting a run today. But I think when they're involved in match day, it kind of gets rid of a lot of the nerves when you're coming back from, or anxiety when you're coming back from, a long time out. And it's great to have him back. He'll get another sort of few days of training, and no doubt he'll play a part from now on.
Just how big a moment was that for Mathys Tel?
Yeah, good for him to get a goal. Again, the guys coming on are really important. I thought Wilson today, didn't look ready when he came on, and he sort of only came to life sort of in the last sort of 10, 15 minutes. But, you know, sometimes these guys coming on are going to be really vital for us in the Europe, because you know that the ties are going to be pretty intense, and we're going to have to make changes, and those changes are not going to be just to, you know, because players are not performing. It just might be because we need, you know, that extra energy. And, you know, guys like Mathys and Wilson, they're young guys, and we're going to need them. You know, they have the quality for sure. But, you know, I think we're going to need guys coming on. I thought Archie and Biss, when they came on, sort of helped us a bit in terms of just, you know, getting a bit more control of the game. But for all those guys, it's vital that, you know, now we've got a healthy squad that guys are ready to play.
I suppose the first goal, I mean, the pass from Romero to start off with was excellent. I suppose you kind of missed that in his absence as well. But how encouraging was the whole play? You just on what's playing?
Yeah, no, it was a goal that's kind of we've done a number of times. We haven't done consistently, and but I think that was, like I said, in the first half, I think we had many of those moments. And you know, with Christian back there and with Ben and when Mickey plays, you know, we've got centre backs who are comfortable on the ball, can find the right pass, give us some really good solutions, and then it's about making sure the guys further up, you know, find the right spaces. And I thought in the first half we did that a lot. And yeah, it was an excellent team goal from start to finish. And I think, you know, that was just a byproduct of us really being disciplined in our football in that first sort of 52 minutes.
You mentioned about Bergvall, I think something with physicality, obviously, illness from Sweden and stuff, but it seemed like back to himself today.
Yeah, look, he looked a bit, you know, he looked a little bit leggy on Thursday night, but I thought it was important him sort of get that out of his system. You know, he hadn't played because he didn't play in internationals, you know, for 2.5 weeks, and he hardly trained. But you know, with Thursday in mind, I thought getting him 60 minutes on Thursday and getting him another good sort of blocker. He looked a lot better today. He looked back to himself, physically stronger. And yeah, like I said, in the first half, I thought the midfield three, Rodri, Lucas and Matters, really good defensively, but also when we had the ball, really strong. And I thought they worked well together.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Darren, before we talk about the game itself, let's get your reaction to Ange Postecoglou's post-match press conference there. And how are you feeling towards the manager right now?
It's really hard. It's really hard. Like Melvyn and like yourself, you know, I was always Ange in. You know, I just thought that he was a breath of fresh air when he came. You know, we were crying out for his style of football, you know, attacking, front-footed football, which we hadn't seen in a long time. You know, we got managers like Mourinho park the bus and, you know, expect us to hit teams on the break. And to a certain extent, it worked. You know, if you think of the Kane-Son partnership, you know, pinging balls, the telepathy, you know, knowing where each other was and hitting teams on the counter. With Ange, this sort of gung-ho, shit or bust once, you know, way of playing, it was great for a while, the beginning of the season. Then teams found us out and found out how they could mitigate our style of play. And now we've been sort of found out, really. But in the last few games, where is Ange ball gone? It's like it's non-existent. I'm not sure. We're back to sort of side to side again.
Why though, Darren? Because I was having this conversation with someone earlier at the stadium, and I was saying that what a contrast it is that first ever pre-season game that I went to in Perth, Australia against West Ham. It finished 3-2. It was end-to-end stuff, and Ange, all it was him shouting constantly in the training sessions as well. Forward. That is the word that he shouted the most. Forward. Play the ball forward. It was super attacking football, Ange ball, as everyone called it. And now it is a lot of sideward passing, backward passing. And the other thing that I wanted to mention as well, that Ange just said there in the post-match presser about, you know, having a healthy squad again, and these players must be ready to play. It was only a couple of weeks ago, Postecoglou came out and said, when we have all of our players back, we will have an outstanding team. Now, was the expectation from you as a Spurs fan today that we were going to absolutely blow Southampton away, which in fairness, back in December at St Mary's, we did that. but we are playing, no disrespect again to Southampton, we are playing a very poor team. We were playing a very poor team in December. So did you expect a lot more going into this game? Because having that momentum, having that confidence, not only for the manager, the players, us fans, going into Thursday's game, did you expect a lot more from today?
No, I didn't. Because look what happened when we got a Romero and Van der Ven back, our dream partnership against Chelsea. So no, I wasn't expecting us to wipe the floor with Southampton. In fact, I wouldn't have been surprised if they'd have come there and beaten us. So that's not me being a doom monger, because honestly I'm not. But no, in answer to your question, no, I wasn't expecting us to wipe the floor with them and batter them today. No, but it does make you think that while we have got like a full squad back, why aren't we playing this amazing style? What happened in the second half today when they came out for the first 20 minutes? They were all over us. I don't get it. I don't get some of his decisions. I'm just a bit disillusioned with it all. I mean, I don't know where we go. And he looks deflated, doesn't he? He's not. Listen, he looks deflated. He's fed up of all the same questions. He doesn't want to talk about VAR again. He doesn't want to talk about his relationship with the crowd. He's being asked all the same questions, and even the reporters, are apologising before they open their mouth and asking questions now. Sorry to mention this, but ... I think he's a bit disillusioned with it. He's even saying in press conferences, if I was to go, or the next manager, I'm sure there'll be a lot of fantastic candidates. I mean, what way is that to act when you're a manager of a football club?
Yeah.
But it's the bigger picture, isn't it? If he does go, I say if and when he does go, he's going to be another manager through the door, and we've got a job of ruining great managers. We just got, and they go on to better things. Look what Nuno's doing at Forest. So it's just the whole thing is really upsetting. And even though we've won 3-1. Today, I'm sorry that I'm not bouncing off the walls, because the big picture is just really upsetting.
Before we talk about the game itself, Harry, let me just give you the chance to talk about Ange Postecoglou, and particularly that quote that I keep saying on this podcast now, him saying a couple of weeks ago, when we get all of our players back and we have a full, healthy squad, we will be an outstanding team. Do you see, is there any positiveness left in you as a Spurs fan, thinking, well, from now until the end of the season, we're going to go on this run, we're going to start winning games in the Premier League, week after week, and the Europa League? Is there any part of you that thinks, well, actually we can go all the way? Andrew's right, he's going to get the best out of these players. Do you see a dramatic turnaround?
No, I really don't, and sadly not at all. And I'm totally with you, Chris, in terms of with Postecoglou. I was behind him. I was like, yeah, but we're still in the Europa League. It still could be a good season. But Fulham in particular was a turning point, because there's no reason to rest or to rotate players for that. We've done that, and that's why we didn't get the result that we wanted. That's why we lost, and that was just really frustrating. Then we see all that with Chelsea, and we've got all our players back now, and we're still playing really poor. So no, I'm not convinced whatsoever, and I think that Thursday is going to be really tough. And I think Frankfurt, as I said, are in a lot better shape and a lot better position than we are now. And the thing is that with Ange, for me, I think it's very simple, and I think we learned that again today. Once again, if you didn't know already, we just simply aren't a good team at the moment. We're not good enough, and I think you look at Ange's time at Spurs, it's really just 10, 12 flying games at the start, and then it very quickly went downhill with injuries. Darren, you're spot on in terms of managers that we kind of ruin, I suppose. Yeah, I think it'd be fair to say. And they go on to achieve good things after Spurs. Well, for me, that tells you one thing, and that is that we are the problem, and it's upstairs that we don't back a manager. And when the money's spent, it's spent poorly. And managers haven't been given enough time at Tottenham, so that's why I wanted to give Postecoglou as much time as possible. But I feel like they're backing the wrong horse at the moment. They're backing someone who I personally think is out of his depth, isn't right for the Premier League, which is a real shame. Is very stubborn, and for me, you cross the line when you taunt fans in what is a really important London derby. It's a real shame. I think a lot of you guys have said it tonight. We come in, breath of fresh air, good football. We've lost, Darren says it there, and what I would say is I think we've lost our identity. And like Chelsea, it's a London derby. We played with no unity, no cohesion, nothing about us. I just feel like we've really lost that identity. That was one thing why we were saying, well, at least we're entertaining, or at least we play well, or we haven't seen that in recent weeks. And it shouldn't be about the performances. Today we've got the result, that's great. We know that next week we won't go and get that result, like probably against Wolves. I don't think we'll win that game. And that's the problem, Chris. And even the very few, because we haven't got many now, players that are out, still, Dragusin, Kulusevski. Kulusevski is the main one that makes the difference. Richarlison maybe as a squad option. I don't think that we improve. I think you start the season again, I still think we finish around mid-table. That's the problem. I think we're further behind than people think. I think we are that, massively underachieving. And just the way we recruit, the way we go about business, it's you can't be world class if you don't recruit world class players and you don't act like a big club when it comes to transfer windows. You just kind of fall behind. January, great, we got in a second string goalkeeper, we got in that centre back we needed, but for me, our season just petered out then, and that month completely petered. When we needed a centre-back, we all knew it at the start of the month, what we needed going into it. Yes, I think we signed the right centre-back in the end, but the amount of games that we lost, if you look at that month, North London derby, for example, we knew what we needed. We had 2.5 weeks before that game to bring in a centre-back. We didn't do that. So I feel like Ange's been hard done by. Having said that, he's got to be doing a lot better with his players. It feels like it's excuse after excuse, and a lot of managers could do better, but it's a bit of a cycle at Tottenham. It's how you break that cycle, and it is by backing a manager and doing things differently. And I think that even Pep will come here and struggle. Anyone will come here and struggle right now. But for me, you're still backing the right horse. The idea of backing a manager is right, but this is the wrong guy to do so. So I wanted it to work, but for me, like yourself, Chris, last few weeks, I've really changed my tune. Chelsea, for me, crossed the line. And if we go out to Frankfurt, then I'd make the decision now before the end of the season, because give that manager longer with the players to give ourselves the best possible preparation for next season. But there's only so far you can go. I think under the owners, I think the way we go about things, it limits what you can achieve. But Andrew has got to be doing better. He's got to stop these attacks on fans, because those very few fans that are still behind him, he's slowly losing them. He's going about it wrong. He's reacting in the wrong way, which is a shame, because after that Chelsea thing, he makes really good points, whether it be about phones, whether it be about social media, about VAR. But he creates problems for himself by attacking journalists, accusing of being boxed in the corner as he used against Chelsea. And he only says these things after defeat. Today he wouldn't be that much interested in VAR. He doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't bring it up unless he's asked about it. And that's the thing. He changed his tune completely. And then all this, I'm the only one who talks about VAR. You said you're happy with it earlier in the season. So it's just frustrating. He's got to be doing more. But we're all sitting there moaning. But at the same time, rightly so. But I think it wouldn't surprise you if we could go on and somehow win that Europa League. I don't think we will, but if we did, it'd be such a Spursy thing to do when we've been so bad in a season but win a trophy. It just feels like the Tottenham way to win a trophy. So I wouldn't write anything off at this moment in time, but Andrew's got to be doing better. He will know that his job's on the line with the Europa League. However, the only things that I can't understand with fans, if he does win that Europa League, then you don't sack him. That's where Melvyn's spot on. You don't sack someone who wins your first trophy since 2008. So that for me is crystal clear.
Melvyn, let's come to you. Let's talk about the starting 11 today, because for me personally, I felt like Ange Postecoglou got the starting 11 spot on, and at the time of his subs, which of course we'll talk about as well. Starting 11 today against Southampton: Vicario, Porro, Romero, Davis, Spence, Bentancur, Maddison, Bergvall, Johnson, Solanke and Son. And the sub bench today, very strong sub bench, which is great to see. Kinski, Udogi, Van der Ven, Gray, Sarr, Basuma, Odegaard, Richarlison and Tel. We've quite often on this podcast spoke about lack of game changers or lack of options on the bench. And when you look at that bench, very, very strong against a team that we expected to beat today. What did you make of the lineup, Melvyn?
Yeah, I was happy with the lineup, to be honest. I didn't mind the lineup. Davis obviously coming in for Van der Ven, which was a good idea. My dad asked me if Van der Ven was injured. I said probably not, because he's on the bench. To be honest, I would have liked to see Tel play more minutes. I'm curious to see what kind of player he is. I thought Son could have used with a rest. I would have personally played Odegaard on the left to see if we can get more out of Odegaard than Son. I just feel at the moment Son isn't playing at his best. And against Chelsea, I thought he was poor. Personally, I would have subbed him, half-time, 60th minute. And it's hard for me to say that about Son because he's obviously a long servant of the club, very good player on his day. But we've just not seen it this season. We've not seen Heung-min Son, that we know. To be fair, I know he's captain, and last season he was a lot better than this season, and maybe he's struggling from fatigue or even mental fatigue because obviously he travels so much for international duty and he plays for Spurs and he's very important to us and he starts most of the games and I just honestly don't know what's been the problem for him this season. I don't know if it's mental, physical, if it's the team, if it's the tactics. And I just think previous managers all managed to get the best out of Heung-min Son. And because either they build a team around him or they set up the game plan for him to be at the end of the attack, for him to tap it in. And I just don't know what the problem is with Son. It's hard for me to see him like this because, and even when he gets a chance on goal, like he had one, which was quite difficult because he doesn't have the speed he used to have. I just don't feel confident that he's going to score. I just feel that it's going to go, either out he's going to shoot it not on target or it's going to go straight at the keeper. I don't feel confident in him. And I just think he's stuck in his head in the moment where sometimes he shoots where he shouldn't. And when he passes, it's not good at the moment. So I think today he should have played Odegaard. And if Odegaard had a really good game, scored 1, maybe 2 goals, I would have personally picked him over Son against Frankfurt. And this is my opinion. And you could use Son as an impact sub if we needed him, because I think maybe coming on against tired legs is more effective. He's 32. He's a pacey winger, or used to be a pacey winger, and it's just something needs to change because he's not performing, and he's had a lot of games this season to get it right, and it's just not been happening for him. Again, with Maddison, I feel Maddison is another player who's probably underperforming. When he plays well, we win. I thought Bergvall and Bentancur had a good game, solid game. They were, Spence and Porro also. Romero had a good game. Vicario didn't have much to do. It's an interesting lineup because it makes you think what is he going to play against Frankfurt? And sadly, I think he's going to start with Heung-min Son because he has to. It'll be a big call for him to drop him, and I think there's so much pressure on this game. I don't think he's that kind of player. He's that kind of manager to drop Heung-min Son in probably one of the biggest games of our season. But at the same time, it's just he's not performing, and I just don't feel he's going to turn it on all of a sudden. With going back to our previous conversation, I just wanted to say about Postecoglou. Every single Spurs manager who we've had since Pochettino, even before, they are all set up to fail because they're all missing 1 or 2 or 3 key players. We've had it under Conte, we had it under Jose, we had it under Nuno. And they're always left short with players. Well, Postecoglou came in when we had sold Harry Kane, which
Melvyn,
made the task so much harder.
Can I just say that Ange actually said in the press conference the other day, in the embargoed section, at some point Spurs just need to stick to something. Do you think they're going to stick with Ange Postecoglou? Is this a project, a long-term project, where the board really do believe in him? And although I know a lot of people are going to probably be shouting and swearing at what I'm going to say now, do you think the board are going to say, okay, we accept that the fact that we are, mid-table at the moment, 14th in the Premier League table, but we understand that this is going to take time? Do you think that could be a scenario?
Yeah, I really could. Because honestly, this is my opinion, I would give him a third season. Just because we've hit a major reset button with this football club. We don't have high earners at the football club. We don't have big star players at the moment. We have young, promising talents who are finding their feet in the Premier League. We're still we went from defensive football under Conte and Jose, and we were buying. You know, the other day I saw we spent 700 million since going into the new stadium, and I was thinking, fuck me, where did that go? Because I couldn't, because in 5 years we've blooded in no talent. We've had no one from the youth come in, but in the last 2 seasons we've had pretty decent signings. We're signing young, promising talent that all of Europe wanted. You know, Bergvall was going to go to Barcelona and somehow rejected them to come to us. We have some promising talent in the squad. The problem is it takes 3-4 seasons until you see the best out of them, but we want results now. We want to see results now. We cannot be 16th again next season. And I don't think it's going to be. I saw from that press conference for the first time Postecoglou admitting he made a mistake, that he misjudged the load on the players in the beginning of the season, and he's never admitted to making a mistake. Even when he had the fans for him and someone asked him a question at the time, they asked him something along the lines of, what did you learn from last season? Can you tell us about something that you might have regretted? And he even was stubborn enough to say, no, because at the time I thought it was the correct decision, so I don't regret anything, which I thought, come on, man, tell us something that you regret. Tell us something that you learned. It was a moment for him to show, you know, this is what I've learned from last season. So that press conference, I felt, was the first time he admitted that he made a mistake. He misjudged the early part of the season. I still think there's good things about Postecoglou. I still think there's good, despite all, like I said before, despite all the evidence that he should be sacked and he should go. I mean, there's a lot of it, but I still back him, and I still think I would give him a third season because I don't think he's the main issue. The main issue is the playing squad. There's people that need to go, and there's still deadwood at the club. I'm lame enough to have a list on my Excel sheet where I just write sell, loan with the entire squad, and every now and then I look at it and I think there's still players at the club. You know, Sergio Reguilon is at the club. There's Manor Solomon who we can sell. Richarlison. There's Davis, who I would keep for another season. There's room at the football club to sell and to bring in new talent. My issue is we cannot keep bringing in 18, 19-year-olds. I want to bring in established Premier League players with experience.
Yep.
With experience, and we cannot keep setting up our managers to fail, because I felt he wanted Conor Gallagher in the summer. It was crystal clear. He wanted Conor Gallagher. We didn't buy him Conor Gallagher. We didn't even buy him anyone near that kind of level. So the manager, and we had the Scottish guy, I forget his name, the friend of Craig. And I listened, and I listened to that podcast, and it was interesting. The first thing he said, Ali, that he wanted a midfielder, and our midfield is weak. The Celtic fan, the first thing they brought up that our midfield is weak, and we've been saying this all season. This team has a very, very weak midfield. We don't even have a top 10 midfield at the moment. I mean, which shows, because we're 14th, 15th. Our midfield is incredibly weak. And it didn't matter that Van de Ven and Romero returned, because the players in front of them are extremely, extremely weak. There's no spine. There's no toughness. We used to have Victor Wanyama, Moussa Dembele, and even a young Eric Dyer in front of them. There was a spine, and there is no spine in this football team at the moment.
Melvyn, just very quickly, there are a lot of comments coming in live on YouTube right now, and a lot of people are saying that this podcast is quite negative today, and you in particular are moaning about that we have won a game 3-1. Side the Fox here, regular on the channel, he says Spurs fans are moaning when we lose, Spurs fans are moaning when we win. Spurs fans are always moaning. Do you think you're always moaning about the club, or do you just feel like you want to get it off your chest every now and then?
This is my free therapy session, Chris. So instead of moaning to my family, I just come on here and moan and say my opinions to you guys. And you have a big enough channel where...
I think if that's the case, Chris should start charging you then.
Yeah,
probably, yeah. Yeah, cheers for that, Darren.
You know, call it 200 quid an hour.
a free trip to Malta, that'll do. I could do with a holiday right now.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just I say how I feel, how I see it, and we'll see. You know, as Postecoglou says, hindsight is a beautiful thing. We will see in a few years' time. The beautiful thing about these videos, they stay online, and I can always go back and say, listen, I said this back then. I was wrong, or I was right. Often or not, I'm usually wrong because
I think this is the season. I think this is the season you said we were going to win the Premier League, and that
wasn't what I said. That wasn't what I said. I think
it is. And no, plus, I think I don't think there's any doubt at all you'll be getting clipped. You know, with that quote of "I'd give Ange a third season." I think you're going to be clipped on that one.
Very bold.
I would. It's how I feel. I feel there's bigger problems at the club, and if it's going to take 20 million to sack Ange and get another replacement, why spend 20 million to sack Ange? I feel there's bigger holes within the football team. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like that debate could go on all night, and we're an hour and 7 minutes in. We've not even started talking about the game yet. Darren, do you want to give us your opinion on the starting 11 very quickly?
Yeah, I was happy with it. I mean, like it's been said, you know, you could swap Odegaard off for Son, but the thing is, as much as people want to slate Son, and obviously he hasn't been firing on all cylinders, it goes without saying, but the guy just needs one moment of magic. You know, he just cuts in from the left and shoots, and he'll give you a goal, or you know. So, certain respects, you're sort of cutting your nose off to spite your face by not starting on him. I mean, that apart from that, I thought it was very, very solid. The starting 11.
I personally don't understand all of the hate that Heung-min Son gets, and I feel like there is an awful lot.
Because the reason that he gets hate, Chris, is that people let's not generalize. Some people forget that he's 32, and they're used to seeing the Son of old, which is just one of the best players that the Premier League has ever seen. Like what he can do with the football, right foot, left foot, is just unbelievable. Yep. So when he's not firing like that, people think, well, he's gone off the boil, he's useless.
Right, let's get into the game itself. As Harry rightly mentioned earlier, there was a protest outside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium about Daniel Levy, the board, and the way that the club is being run. And in the very, very first 10 to 20 seconds from kickoff, there are a number of Daniel Levy chants from the Tottenham Hotspur home end. Harry, let's come to you. Of course, it started off like that. After 8 minutes, Heung-min Son ran into the box. Brennan Johnson tried to get a shot in, which was blocked. 10 minutes on the clock. Pedro Porro corner. Romero head at goal. Ramsdale saving. And then on 12 minutes, Southampton had a really good chance, which was saved by Vicario. A number of people, certainly around me, were feeling quite nervous at that point, thinking, oh, come on, this is bottom of the table Southampton, and we've given them a chance after 12 minutes. How are you feeling at that point?
Yeah, not very good, Chris, because as you said they're awful. There's no two ways about it. They're, relegated, the earliest side to be relegated ever in the Premier League. There's no, mystery behind that. There's no, coincidence. This happened for a reason because they're really, really bad. And we just give them a chance. Yeah, we start well, if I'm honest with you. I think we start okay anyway, that first, 10 minutes. But then we just give Southampton a period. It felt like forever. It's probably just 3 or 4 minutes with the ball. And it's just the amount of space we give. And the reality is, if we're playing someone like whether it be Arsenal, Liverpool, whoever it may be, or even Forest, who've got coming up, who are doing very well at the minute, they put these chances away and they create more than. It's just how much space we give Southampton is really concerning, Chris. And if they had a proper number 9 and were a proper outfit, a good team, then they cause us lots of problems because they got that goal in the end. It was inevitable. The amount of balls that they were allowed to put in the box in dangerous areas was really concerning. They just luckily had no one on the end of it, couldn't quite take a chance. And the stats back that up. It's a really even game, which we're really struggling at the moment. So I was feeling nervous at the moment in time because they come really close, and it wasn't the only time they come close in the game. They're a blunt team, they're a poor side, but they just grew in confidence. Like that second half, we come out so poor, and they just also think, oh, hang on a minute here, and they keep progressing forward. Then they try and take on a player, then they try and put a ball in the box. Then they're trying to win ahead of it. They're taking it in stages, very gradual. You can tell a team that are absolutely shattered by confidence. It was really clear to see both teams really low on confidence. But we just make this hard for ourselves, Chris. That's what it is. It wasn't that, Southampton started well. No, it's that Spurs started okay and then backed off instantly and almost allowed Southampton to score. So it's just really frustrating. And we know, as good as it is to win today, we know that a better opposition is a different outcome. We just aren't very good at the moment, and Ange isn't getting enough out of these players, with or without injuries this season. It's been catastrophic, and we're not good enough at the moment. We're just not good enough, and we're allowing teams far too many chances, and something has to change.
Well, I can confirm that Tottenham Hotspur have finished the weekend in 14th spot, 37 points from 31 games, because the full-time whistle has just gone. Manchester United 0, Manchester City 0. Harry, let's stay with you because just seconds later, after that Southampton chance, Spurs took a 1-0 lead. Brennan Johnson with a fantastic finish. And in fairness to Tottenham, it was a fantastic team move. James Maddison started it, out to Heung-min Son, who played in Djed Spence, crossed it for Brennan Johnson, and what a finish from him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how open were Southampton? But take nothing away from the goal. It was a really nice move. You said there, Maddison created it really well. For me, a lot of the credit goes to Djed Spence for the cutback. Johnson, that's a really nice finish. You can see here, comes inside, pulls away from his man, Kyle Walker-Peters, who lost him. And it's a really nice, confident finish. And in the stadium, Chris, today, there's a lot of, there's a few fans that were, really angry about Brennan Johnson. Generally, which is interesting because obviously scored 2 goals, and there was a couple that took it way too far and just constantly on him all game, shouting and actually being quite abusive. But again, he gets 2 goals, he makes the impact for Spurs. I don't get it. For me, it doesn't matter how you play, whether you're involved here or involved there. He's getting the goals. He's having the impact. That's all that matters. I think a large amount of it is the price tag that comes behind it. And when we struggle, a lot of people just go, look, Johnson's standing there, which is often the case. I think he's, at the moment, quite a lazy player. But as far as I'm concerned, you're scoring goals. That's all that matters because his 2 goals, the reason we win today. Without him, we draw 1-1. That's just a matter of fact. So I find that really odd. I just wanted to mention that. But a lovely team goal. If only we could do that more often. Because we're just really lacking an identity at the moment. But when we go forward, we actually look good. And I know a lot of it is the Southampton defence, but this was a nice goal. They're representing confidence. We need to see more of this. And, even if we're not in a good moment, we've just got to try and attack where we can, which is clearly a strength of ours with players like Maddison, with Solanke. Because it's a really nice goal. And just Johnson, something really simple but so effective to make that dart away from his man that we haven't had from different players all season. So a nice team goal, a good way to start a game because Southampton very nearly scored, didn't they, as you said? What was it? Less than, I think, a minute or 2 before this goal. So that was maybe summed up their season. Not clinical enough, didn't take their chance, punished at the other end. But for us, it was nice to see because we could have conceded down the other end.
Harry, could I just break that down, what you said there? With Djed Spence, I feel like he's been one of the shining lights this season for us. And I felt like he was unlucky not to get in Thomas Tuchel's first England squad for those international matches recently. And with Brennan Johnson, I completely agree. I've heard a lot of criticism, and you see a lot of criticism online for Brennan Johnson. What more do you want to see from him?
I don't want to see that much more, if I'm honest with you. I just want to see him keep scoring and maybe be a little bit more consistent and try and get involved with the play, help out a little bit defensively. But a lot of people take it really personally with Johnson. I don't get it. I think he's a top guy, and it means a lot to him clearly to wear the badge. He's a player that I want. And it's just about consistency. I think a lot of it is that Kulusevski's done very well when playing in that position on the right-hand side. As it is in the 10 as well. That's one really good thing about Kulusevski. It'd be great to have him back, hopefully, for that Frankfurt second leg. But Johnson, I've been happy with. And obviously getting injured didn't help, but his numbers are very good. And that's something I'll keep saying. We need to see a little bit more. For me, he has to start agreeing with some of the comments here against Frankfurt, because you want players that are effective. And when he comes off the bench, even more last season, but still this season, he gets the goals, he gets the assists. That's what matters. And like today, okay, we haven't played great, but we've won. That's all that matters. Same against Frankfurt. We're not going to be looking and going, that performance. We're going to be going, did we get through or not? Did we win the game? Because that's what we've got to start doing. And I feel like fans get sidetracked so much. I think it's similar to the style of football as well. How did we play? Did we tick that box for entertainment? Did we create enough chances? Did we do this? Did we have enough shots on target? Whereas we've got to start going, did we win the game? Because that's what you remember. You don't, go back in a year's time, you're checking through Google, and you look at that game, you're not going to go, oh, Spurs played good in this game or bad in this game. You're going to go, Spurs won this game or lost this game. A prime example of that, Champions League, Ajax. Okay, we're awful in parts of that game, but we went through, and that's a memorable night for us Spurs fans. We're going to forget that first half. We're going to focus on the second half because we got the result, but we didn't play great, and we got to that final. That's what we remember. That's a prime example for you there. So Johnson, for me, overhated, common scapegoat. I think he's doing very well, but of course he has to do more. In recent weeks, he hasn't been at his best. He will know that, and he'll be the first to tell you out of anyone. So he's getting a little bit more involved. But I feel like when you have poor players around you, and you're playing around players that are not in good confidence, and you've got, for me, the wrong manager directing you, then it's very hard to get the best out of your game. But he's certainly doing his bit to have an impact, and today he's one of the reasons we win the game.
Melvyn, let's come to you. After 16 minutes, Southampton had another chance, shot a goal, deflected wide. On 27 minutes, another chance for Christian Romero, saved again from Ramsdale. What do you make of Romero's couple of chances that he had in that first half?
It's been a while since he scored. And last season, I believe he had close to 6 goals. I'd like to see Romero pick up that form again. We need him to score. And especially with the Europa League coming in, a goal from a corner kick, if you don't deserve it, or a late goal, we need people to start picking up, goals and assists. And Romero last season certainly helped us in the big games. He scored against Arsenal. So it would have been great to see him score. I'm a big fan of Romero. Obviously, we've missed him. I don't like seeing him being linked with other football teams. And it's going to be interesting what the club does with him in the summer, because obviously he's coming to an end of his contract. It's going to be difficult to say what's going to happen, because obviously he's a great player and we paid a lot of money for him. He won the World Cup, but his contract is coming to an end, and I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, we need him now. We need him to be focused, and I feel Romero in a big game like he did the World Cup, he's capable of being very solid, and we need him to be in the Europa League. So we need him to step up in the Europa League. It's good that he's played. He's picking up some minutes now in his belt. He managed to do another 90. Van de Ven was rested today. I don't think Van de Ven is ready to do 90 minutes in the Premier League. But with Romero, happy to have him back. For me, he's one of the leaders on the pitch, in my opinion. Not afraid of a tackle, which is something I like from a player. Physical, usually gets 1 or 2 in. I thought he didn't have the best games against Chelsea. He didn't have he didn't have a bad game. He didn't have a good game either. But I think teams somehow find ways to score against us. We don't make it easy. We don't make it hard, for them to score. And we keep conceding the same goal over and over and over, even though our defense we're playing probably with one of the best lineups we've had in a long time. We're not playing Archie Gray. We're playing our best defenders, and somehow we still manage to concede the same goals we've had all season. These crosses with the striker between the defenders or behind the fullbacks. I don't know why we keep allowing the same type of goals. So obviously the club needs to do something about this, but it's been like this all season, so I don't expect it to change.
Melvyn, it looked like Lucas Bergvall put Spurs 2-0 up. He was absolutely delighted to score, a very clever finish as well. And then shortly after, it went to VAR. Now, this picture on screen shows apparently Romero was in an offside position in the build-up. Now, Ange Postecoglou, as you heard earlier, and as you heard him say a lot after the Chelsea game, talking about VAR, what do you make of the managers, the players, of course, the fans, waiting around, looking at the screens, waiting for the decision, 5-6 minutes pass? It's very, very frustrating. There's a picture here of Ange Postecoglou trying to look up at the screen as well. He looks absolutely baffled by it yet again. Of course, you've heard Ange, heavily criticise VAR. What do you make of it, and what do the authorities need to do to change this, make it quicker? And, because at the moment, it just seems very frustrating for everyone involved.
I think potentially this topic will run its course when the automated offsides come in, because that works in the Champions League, that works in the Serie A, and obviously now it's going to be implemented in the Premier League, something which I'm in favor of, because it's literally like a light bulb will switch on and tell you he's offside or he's onside within a few seconds.
But with this though, this is meant to be clear and obvious. How is something clear and obvious when it's taking 5 to 6 minutes to make that decision?
I think the VAR have, they want the decision to be fast, but at the same time they don't want to make an error and look stupid. I mean, it's happened before. I remember the Liverpool game where they had a goal chalked off and he was clearly onside, and so I think there's a line between having the correct decision and also wasting 6 minutes on an offside goal. I think the lines could have been drawn quicker. I just don't know what's going on within the refereeing in the Premier League. I watch the Italian league quite often because my girlfriend supports AC Milan, and they don't have the same problems of the Premier League. They don't complain about the refereeing decisions as much as we do. There seems to be a lack of quality in the Premier League when it comes to refereeing, and it's often there's inconsistencies within referees. It's not up to the level it should be. I feel the refereeing should be a lot better. VAR should be a lot better. The Premier League is the most watched league in the world. It has, there's so much money in the Premier League these days, and I feel the refereeing isn't up to the level it should be for such a viewed sport. And with this unfortunately went against us. It's a shame on Bergvall, because I would have been happy for him to score. I wanted him to get his first Premier League goal, but if it's offside, it's offside. It's a shame it took such a long time for the decision to come out.
Darren, before I ask you about Tottenham's second goal, anything to add about VAR? How do you feel about it?
Well, first things first, judging by that player's foot, he was onside. I just don't get it. Unless I'm absolutely blind, why isn't that goal given? Look at the black guy at the I've forgotten his name at the front with his foot. Surely that's the part of the body that's most forward. Why isn't that on? Why isn't that a goal?
I think we're now talking about shoulders. We're now talking about hands. We're now talking about any part of the body being in front.
Come on, do me a favour. I thought hands weren't allowed because you can't handball a ball.
Yeah, this is extremely frustrating.
It's ludicrous.
You can't play the ball with your hands. Surely the hand's exempt.
Like I said, Darren, when you're taking 5 to 6 minutes to make that decision, that is not clear and obvious. And this is what, I completely agree with Ange Postecoglou on this point, because this is not what VAR was brought in for. And every single decision now, taking this amount of time is ridiculous. Darren, let's stay with you. Let's talk about Tottenham's second goal, because it came from Brennan Johnson again. And I tell you, what a lovely, clever finish from Brennan Johnson. It was a great header over the top from James Maddison and a cheeky finish from Brennan Johnson. What did you make of it?
Yeah, really good goal. Really good goal. Pleased Maddison got the assist. And again, Johnson in the right place at the right time. I want to say something controversial. And also let's put all this stuff to bed about Johnson, because my cousin messaged me and said, "How does Johnson get a start?" And I said, when he scored his first and then his second, I said, "Well, vindicated. He's a winger. He's not a striker." I thought he's great. I don't have a problem with him. He scores goals. I'm going to say something now, and I'll probably get pelted in the comments, but as much as Solanke is lauded for his running and his efforts and his closing players down, I don't think he's scoring enough goals. The guy's a striker, and all right, he had one, maybe two shots today, but I was trying to look at this, see if there was a heat map today, but it was too early on in the day for today. But I looked at his heat map against Chelsea, and he was one touch in the 6-yard box, and everything was all over the pitch. Now, listen, not questioning his work rate, not questioning his commitment, not questioning his running. The guy's a striker, and he's not scoring goals. He's scored 7 in the Premier League, 2 in Europe. And I know he's been injured. He scored 9 goals. But I want to see more from him. I want to see him right in that 6-yard box. I want to see him shooting much, much, much more in every game. I don't get why he's in defence, why he's in midfield. He's not going to get goals there. Now, is that a question about the service he's getting or not getting? Is that his positional play? Is this a remit from Ange? I'd love someone to tell me and maybe educate me. I don't get why number 9 is all over the pitch and not shooting, and in the box scoring goals. I don't get it.
I think it's a mixture of all of those things, Darren. And I haven't heard anyone criticise the amount of goals that he has or hasn't scored, because I feel like a lot of people see his work rate and he's doing exactly what Ange Postecoglou wants him to do. However, with that said, it would be great to see him score more goals, and I believe that we should be putting a lot more crosses in. And I don't think that he is getting the service that he deserves, requires, needs for, scoring goals. And it's funny because with someone like Dominic Solanke, I automatically thought that if we put crosses into him, he's going to be in and around that 6-yard box all the time, and he will score an absolute hatful of goals, particularly how we played in the first season under Ange Postecoglou. But we haven't seen that this year. And I know that Ange uses that narrative all the time about injuries, but we should be creating a lot more chances for someone like him. I completely agree.
I mean, you could use the word deep, but sometimes he comes so bloody deep. He's defending. It's ridiculous. We haven't got a target man.
Yeah.
We haven't got a target man. That's his job. That's his bread and butter. A defender's there to knock balls away from the goal, and a striker's there at the other end of the pitch to put balls in the goal. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Harry, let's come to you. So at that point, it was 2-0. Then there was amazing 7 minutes added on stoppage time at the end of the first half. During that time, Southampton put a cross into the back post, but their attacking players couldn't quite get there. And then 5 minutes into stoppage time, they had a shot on target. It was comfortable for Vicario. How are you feeling at the halfway point, Harry? 2-0 up.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm probably, frustrated that it wasn't more in terms of obviously that disallowed goal. I don't want to get too much into it, but I think it's absolutely bonkers. Totally agree. Not what VAR was brought in for. Hence, we get so much added time, which leads to more injuries, etc., etc. I don't want to get into it now, but yeah, I'm feeling happy that we're winning, but knowing what we're capable of, that we can do more, we can create more chances, we can win by more, but also worried about the threat defensively going into the second half, knowing that Southampton will really improve. They won't want to get relegated today. They want to hold that out as much as possible. Having said that, they know that it's coming, but they've still got Derby's record. That'll be playing on their minds, of the manager, of the fans, of the players. That will matter. That's a massive thing to that record as far as I'm concerned. So I'm happy that we're winning at half time, but leading, should I say? But I know that we're capable of much better. We have potential to blow them away. I think Southampton were there for taking once again. They're not very good. We've seen that on several occasions this season. So I'm satisfied. I think would be the word, Chris. But knowing and wanting more.
Harry, let's stay with you because on 53 minutes, a great ball up to Heung-min Son. It looked like he was virtually through 1-on-1 with Ramsdale, and then a defender managed to get back and tackle him before he could actually get a shot in. 4 minutes after that, Ange made a double sub. Son and Bentancur going off, Odegaard and Sarr coming on. First of all, what do you make of Heung-min Son's performance today? And also what I wanted to ask is Ange's subs. Were you impressed with Ange's subs today in terms of, the way that he managed the game, particularly after, we've got this key game coming up on Thursday?
I'll start with the substitutions. Ange's subs, I think, had no real impact on the game. They certainly didn't stop that threat of Southampton because they ended up scoring. Having said that, Thursday, as you say, big priority. And I think he got it right with when to take certain players off, Maddison, etc. I think he got that right. Son today, I thought was quite a quiet game for him. When he got the ball, he always looked like something was going to happen, which is really good. Something we haven't been able to say about Son this season. When he actually has that confidence to take on his man, he's still good. And obviously, it's been a shame to see him in decline this year. But at 32, I think we've got to accept that this is a different Son that we're seeing. And if we use him in the right way, I think, off the bench, if I'm honest with you, long term, I think that's a really effective weapon. I think of it against Frankfurt, and I think he'll start the game, don't get me wrong. But for me, you bring him on as kind of that weapon for that. He hasn't necessarily got as much as he used to, but that little bit of pace, a little bit of energy, a confidence to take on a man. So he still has got a lot to offer, Son. Certainly not what he used to, but I think, again, that's on the manager in terms of can you change Son's role to get more out of him? Look at Salah with Liverpool, and I know not the best example in terms of the last few weeks and games, a struggle for Liverpool, for example, today, which is a big part of why they lose. But he's been asked generally under Slot this season to do less. The workload's reduced. He's not tracking back as much, but the end product's higher because he's got that energy, he's got those legs to keep going at his age, and what is I think a historic season for him in a Liverpool shirt. It could have been, of course, a lot better. They've got knocked out a lot of competitions recently, Liverpool. This is the best I've known Salah for a long, long time because his roles changed within that Liverpool team. They've stopped his defensive duty. He's got others to do it because they know that he's the one that he can provide them with the end product at the end, the attacking into the pitch, the defensive side, and he's done that. So I think you've got to change the way we use Son. But I thought he was good, looked good in spells today, and Ange's substitutions, they made sense. Didn't affect the game like we saw Sarr come on. Obviously, I know it's disallowed, but score against Chelsea, that was a good sub because there's a lot of conversations, isn't it, always about Ange's in-game management. I think often the subs do come late, but his changes often have an impact. Johnson, as I mentioned earlier, is a good example of that. Mainly more last season. This year, Sarr has been a good one. Who's coming on the bench. Son, where we've used him occasionally off the bench, has been good. So I don't buy that Ange hasn't got good in-game management. I'm really frustrated in the moment, and I don't want him here long term. But I don't think you can criticise his subs. Today made perfect sense.
Yeah, and do you know what, Harry? I'm a great believer of being fair, and I know a lot of people slate Ange for certain decisions that he makes or doesn't make in a game. But I felt like he really got the subs right today, and I feel like we need to mention that because Ange does get a lot of criticism, certainly of late. Melvyn, let's come to you. Dominic Solanke had a good chance, a good turn, and then save from Aaron Ramsdale. On 78 minutes, Southampton had a shot on target. Vicario, comfortable save. A couple of minutes later, another double sub from Ange Postecoglou. Gray and Basuma coming on. Maddison and Bergvall going off. And then on 87 minutes, Mathys Tel coming on. Solanke going off. And then 88 minutes, Southampton had another shot at goal. Vicario, comfortable save. And then, Melvyn, let's come to you on the Tel penalty, because Brennan Johnson won the penalty. He was fouled inside the box. Tel stepped up. What did you make of the challenge on Brennan Johnson, and what did you make of Tel's penalty?
I was annoyed that Tel, took the ball off Johnson, because I thought.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. My bad. Let's rewind a little bit, because I forgot Southampton's goal. So let's talk about Southampton's goal in the 90th minute. What do you make of the goal conceded, Melvyn?
Yeah, not surprised. We've conceded this goal so many times. I just don't know. I don't know if the team learns from their mistakes. I mean, how many times have we conceded this goal? We don't close the opposition early enough. We don't block the cross. We don't make an attempt to close them down. I know it's 2-0 and there's only a few minutes left, and there's a game on Thursday, but we've done this so many times this season. Even against Chelsea, we didn't make an attempt to stop the cross coming into the box. And then the defenders somehow, it's like teams target us for this kind of thing, because time and time again, it's a weakness. It's a weakness of ours. Teams scored. How many times have we conceded the same goal? I mean, I think I can name a few.
Do you know what, Melvyn? I was right behind Ange Postecoglou when Southampton scored their goal, and he turned round, just shook his head. Really, really annoyed, because like you've just said, how many times have we conceded a goal like this? You want to be keeping a clean sheet, particularly when you're playing a team like Southampton. And it made the game, very nervy in those final few minutes. I know, of course, we went up the other end and won a penalty until, put the game to bed finally. But it's so frustrating conceding a goal like that, at that time of the match.
Yeah, especially when the defense doesn't have the best confidence. The goalkeeper probably would have loved to keep a clean sheet today, Vicario. Every single time I watched our football team, I want a clean sheet. I specifically want a clean sheet. When we used to play under Conte, for example, Chris, we used to talk about the defense a lot, me and you, and how many clean sheets we would keep in the season, because I know it's a bit boring to say, but leagues are won with a solid defense, and if you don't have a solid defense, it's very difficult to win games, because we keep conceding easy goals, and it's frustrating to keep talking about the same things. And going now, talking about the penalty with Tel and Johnson. I mean, he scored a good penalty kick. Tel, credit to him. He wanted to get his first goal. I'm happy about that. It worries me that he's just alone, and there's still the possibility that he'll go back to Bayern, because I think he's a decent player for his age, and there's high potential with Tel. I personally wanted to see Johnson take it for the first thing, because I wanted him to get a hat-trick, especially how he started the season. He got abused from the fans, and he had to switch off his Instagram, and now he's one of the highest scoring players for us this season. And another reason, because I had him in my fantasy team, so I wanted obviously for him to get the hat-trick. But I'm happy with Johnson. I'm happy with him scoring 2 goals. Good finish, classic finish. But he didn't do. I felt it's weird with Johnson, because all he does is score, and it's the nicest thing I can say about Johnson. It's the only thing he does. He scores, and he frustrates me when he gets the ball, because he keeps spamming the same cross. He doesn't look. He doesn't see where the other player is. He just hopes that it will land. Will get into Son or Solanke, or it's just he keeps crossing the same ball time and time again. And 9 out of 10, they're usually misplaced.
We're now going to talk about the Frankfurt game. I know Harry has got to go onto another podcast immediately after this. So, Darren, I'm going to skip you for a second. Harry, give us your score prediction very quickly for the Frankfurt game. What sort of game are you expecting? And finally, where can people find you?
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. Quick turnaround, isn't it? Listen, I hate going into not confident. Yeah, it's hard. Listen, I hate not being confident with Spurs. You just don't know. I think we'll be up for it. There's no doubt about it. But I just think the Frankfurt are a strong outfit at the moment. So, come on. I can't predict us to lose. Go on. I'll be bold. 2-1 Spurs. I think we'll take a narrow lead to Frankfurt. Whether it be enough or not, I don't know. We might have to play a bit differently in that second leg. It's going to be tough, but come on, let's do this. It just feels right for Spurs to win a trophy when we haven't been good in the season. It's just our way of doing it, I think. So yeah, fingers crossed. 2-1 Spurs for me, and thanks so much for having me on, Chris. Really do appreciate it. Great to be a regular here, as I said earlier. Great to catch up with you today. You can find me often here, Spurs Chat Podcast. I do little videos or appearances on podcasts. I'll be doing a match review and player ratings later and a daily update. But in terms of my own socials, you can follow me at HarryScarfe22. I'm a football content creator and YouTuber. I also have my own YouTube channel as well, Harry Scarfe, which includes a podcast, the Scarfe Spurs podcast. I'm on a different podcast now at 7. So thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate talking to you, to Darren, to Melvyn, and big up the chat. Thanks so much.
Harry will soon be taking over this channel. Don't worry about that. I'll be gone. I'll be in Malta on holiday with Melvyn, and Harry.
He does have a break, I tell you.
You're welcome to it. You're welcome to it. But Harry, thank you so much for all of your input.
No, thank you.
We'll speak to you soon.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.
All the best. Cheers, Chris.
Cheers, Harry.
Right, Darren, let's come to you. Of course, the Frankfurt game takes place on Thursday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 8 p.m. kickoff, quarter-final first leg. Now, they have won 4 of the last 5 in all competitions before Saturday. They lost 2-0 away at Bremen on Saturday, 0 shots on target. They finished 5th in the Europa League group stage, of course, just behind Tottenham Hotspur. We had 17 points from 8 games. They had 16 points from 8 games. They beat Ajax 4-1 and 2-1 away, so 6-2 on aggregate in the last 16. They're currently 3rd in the German Bundesliga, behind Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. They have 48 points from 28 matches. Now, head-to-head, we have played them 4 times in our history. We have won twice, we have drawn 1, and Frankfurt have won 1. The most recent meeting was back in the Champions League, 0-0 away, and Spurs winning 3-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium back in October 2022. Now, we have played German clubs 30 times in our history, 15 Tottenham wins, 11 German wins, 4 draws, scoring 42 times, conceding 48 goals. Our home record against German clubs, we have played 14, we have won 9, 1 draw, and 4 defeats. Frankfurt against English clubs, 15 games, 5 wins, 5 draws, 5 defeats. Winning away at Arsenal in 2019 and beating West Ham back in 2022. Darren, how are you feeling ahead of this game on Thursday? Because, that old cliche, a must win. This is a must win because, like I said earlier, I remember going to Frankfurt in 2022. It was a couple of days after I'd run the London Marathon and I was absolutely shattered, could hardly walk, got in an Uber, and the Uber driver I expected to take me to the door. They didn't. There was traffic galore. The guy told me to get out. And then, of course, when I ended up at Frankfurt, there is this huge park around the stadium. So it was a massive, massive walk. But the atmosphere inside that stadium was absolutely electric. And Postecoglou mentioned this in the press conference the other day, saying that they had a club representative go to the stadium, and he said it is pretty noisy. Every single German stadium that I've ever gone to and visited and watched matches at, those places are absolutely rocking. What sort of game are you expecting this coming Thursday? What do you think Ange Postecoglou will do in terms of team selection? And what's your score prediction?
God almighty. Wow. I mean, you said must win. It really is. You don't want to. If what you're saying is, I mean, I'm not a German football expert, but if you're saying it's going to be an absolutely ferocious atmosphere in Frankfurt, then we absolutely need a goal or two clear of them at the end of this game. I just hope that as fans, we've put a lot of emphasis on this cup, and the fact that we are where we are, languishing at the bottom of the table in 14th. I just hope that the players absolutely really appreciate the sort of magnitude of this in terms of not only salvaging something from this season, and all right, it's not a semi-final, but it gives us a chance to get into a semi, but also for the fact that it's our only chance of playing in Europe next season. Lose this, then this season's finished. It's gone. So I really, really, really hope, as they've just said on the chat, sorry, I missed your name, we need a 2-goal lead going into the Frankfurt leg.
That was Craig Dearman.
Was it Craig? There you go. Hello, Craig. Yeah, absolutely. I just really hope that the players and Ange absolutely, I mean, don't want to be cheesy or cliched, but this is a cup final, We absolutely need to win, and we need to win by at least a goal. So I think if the team are up for it, and the European nights, the glory nights under the lights and all of that, I really, really hope that we can take a 2-goal lead to Frankfurt.
So what's your score prediction, Darren?
Oh God, I reckon if we can do what we did today and score 3 goals, say 3-1, I'll be very, very happy. I'll be very, very happy with a 3-1.
Yeah, so would I. Melvyn, what are your thoughts ahead of this game? Because, I said recently on the podcast that, do these players want to go down and be remembered as the players that finished 14th in the Premier League table, or do they want to be remembered as heroes? These players, this current set of players, could have their pictures up on the walls at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for many, many years to come. Winners of the Europa League. Can Ange Postecoglou guide Spurs to the final in Bilbao? Can we go all the way? Can we beat Frankfurt on Thursday night?
We can. I mean, we can. We've had good performances this season, but I just feel at the moment. I'm just not confident in our team. I'm just going into this game. I think the players do understand the importance of this game. We've had, Djed Spence do the interview and mentioned that they want to win the Europa League. Kulusevski mentioned it somewhere in an interview that he said he wants to win the Europa League. I think the players understand and feel the occasion and hoping that they will rise up to it. Will we see more of this team on the day? I think we will. We're going to be playing Frankfurt. We're not going to be playing, Barcelona or Real Madrid or a real massive team. So it is doable. We can get a result. A clean sheet will obviously be important. The away leg worries me because let's say we do get a lead, 1 goal or 2 goal. I mean, we went into Anfield with a 1-0 lead and ended up conceding 4. So this sort of thing does worry me. I don't know if the players have the mentality to win these sort of games yet. I know in the past we couldn't get it over the line, with certain, under Conte, Jose. These types of games you have to have, warriors in the team and people that fight and go. Like Kulusevski has that mentality. Sadly, he probably won't play. I'm kind of hoping he is ready for that game, but I don't think it's going to be, a fit and sharp Kulusevski we've had early in the season. But, we really need warriors to get far in this competition. and we'll see. My prediction for the game, I'm thinking on this on the spot. I'll say 2-1 Spurs. We always concede. I can see us scoring. I can see them being quite defensive and try to make it difficult for us. And we'll see what happens. Ultimately, obviously, I want Tottenham to go through, but I'm not confident at all.
Interesting comment here from George from LA. George, thanks so much for your comment. If the fans turn up that attitude of doom and gloom, then that translates onto the pitch. I tell you what, the fans are normally really up for the European games, and I hope and pray that every single fan that goes there on Thursday gives the energy to the players that they desperately need on the pitch, and hopefully we can get a result because, like I've mentioned, that away game at Frankfurt, no European away game, wherever you play it, is an easy game. They're all very, very difficult, but particularly with the German stadiums, creating so much noise, as I've said. Darren, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I did hope for, or did expect a shorter podcast, but of course there was a lot to talk about, so I hope you don't mind. Thanks so much for your input this evening, and where can people find you? What are you up to at the moment?
I wanted to say, because I didn't get round to it when we were chatting, shout out to Bergvall, who was immense. He runs and runs, and not only is he skillful, he gets forward, he challenges. He was really, really great today. I thought his work rate was fantastic. Really, really great. And no wonder he was subbed off, because he's going to need every bit of energy for Thursday. And also shout out to Bentancur, who I thought was great. Couple of really important challenges today. Defensively, I thought he was immense. So I just want to remember that, because I thought they were great.
Actually, while you're doing shout outs, there was a very nice guy from Ireland called Liam today who came up to me and said he absolutely loves this podcast. He watches the channel every single day. Really, really enjoys what all of us do on the channel. So, Liam, thank you so much. He wanted me to mention him on the podcast. So, Liam, thank you so much for all of your incredible support. I often say to you regulars, Darren, Melvyn, and Harry and co, Ricky, Craig, etc. The amount of people that come up to me in the stadium saying how they love you guys, your opinions. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree, but of course that is the nature of football. But they love what we do on this podcast, so the feedback has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much. So thanks to Liam. Darren, what are you up to at the moment? Where can people find you?
So I'm doing my normal voiceovers. If you watch Sky Sports News late at night, you'll hear me do all the Grosvenor Casino, what we call the sponsorship bumpers. So I'm doing about 6 or 7 different commentator styles, and then that's a fantastic spin, and then I do Sky Sports News, sponsored by Grosvenor Casino. So that's me at the end of Sky Sports News. Interestingly, it's after 9:30 because of the gambling laws. They can't advertise gambling before 9:30. So if you're watching Sky Sports News, you'll hear that. And apart from that, I need to upload some more content to TikTok and Instagram. Just doing my normal sort of voiceovers, really, and on social media. Lovely. And thanks again, Chris. It was enjoyable today.
We can't have a podcast where you haven't done a single impression. It's never ever happened.
Well, it's happened. It's happened.
Deal with it. It can't.
No.
Come on.
Deal with
something. Give us something to smile about.
Take it off. I'm so excited. I would absolutely love it. Here we've got Tree, ladies and gentlemen. Tree. I haven't done my job on it, have I, for you? That's amazing. He follows me on Instagram. He said, you know what? You're the only one who does an impression of me, Darren. Take it off.
See, I knew it couldn't happen. Darren, thank you so much. You're a legend. Melvyn, where can people find you? What are you up to at the moment, apart from enjoying the sunshine in Malta?
You could follow me on Instagram or X. My name is written there. Just busy with, to be honest, with wedding preparations and moving out of the house, and on top of that, I recently went to a football game and got picked up by by a summer league team because they liked me. So I thought this team is not very good if they liked me. So I'm joining a football team for the summer, which doesn't add to the doesn't help, with the workload and how fast it's moving and yeah, I'm just busy and don't even have a second right now to stop. So on a Sunday to do a podcast was perfect for me, and I loved being back on. It's been a while, and like I said, I just get my free therapy session, and hopefully Chris doesn't start invoicing me because right now money's tight and and yeah, but yeah, obviously I love being on and even just to speak to you guys and see you guys and even people in the chat nowadays. I recognize people in the comments and all the regular people that comment, and I really feel it's this channel has become part of my life and my lifestyle now, and it's great. I love it, and all the best to you guys, and hopefully Thursday will be a positive podcast and not miserable as today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Darren, Harry, Melvyn, thank you so much for your time today. Really enjoyed talking to you and your input this evening. I hope you've enjoyed it, everyone. Of course, Spurs are back to winning ways. We are up to 14th in the Premier League table, but full focus now is on Thursday in the Europa League, the quarter-final, first leg on Thursday. Let's get behind the team. Regardless of what you think about anything right now, let's get behind the team on Thursday and let's hope that we get a positive result going into the second leg, going to Germany on Thursday week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everyone. We will see you on Thursday. And until then, come on, you Spurs.
We'll be right back.